Hello, my dear lovelies. This episode contains lots of talks about surgery and also has some pretty adult subject matter with regards to sexual descriptions and experiences. So if any of those things seem like maybe they're not for you, maybe skip this one. But I will say it's a pretty fun one too. Enjoy. Hello, and welcome to my trans best friend. Or should I say, Yappin and Zappin? Or Electrolysis? Or, I don't know. If you're watching this on video, on YouTube, you will know that I am not in my normal location of my apartment, but rather I'm on my back. You are seeing a very, I would say, unflattering view of my face, but maybe some would say flattering. I don't know. I'm not trying to neg myself. But if you're listening to this, let me fill you in. I am currently at my electrologist's office. I'm getting electrolysis today. And I thought it would be fun to do a podcast episode while I got electrolysis. There it is, and it's starting. What is electrolysis, you might ask? Let me tell you. Electrolysis is when you take, or when there's a trained professional. I currently have a very capable and seasoned trained professional doing electrolysis on me now. They are listening, but I am not going to name them or show you them for privacy. But they're great. And what it is the only way in the world that we are aware of, I mean, within reason, to permanently stop hair growth. Like, yes, you could light yourself on fire, but that's not ideal. What they do is they take a needle, and the needle goes into your follicle, and the needle is attached to a machine that provides electricity to the needle. That electricity zaps your hair follicle, so that it no longer grows. Unlike laser hair removal, which is a what's the word? Reduction in hair. Like, it's possible that a follicle that has been zapped 10 times with a laser doesn't grow back. But it's maybe even more likely that it just like grows back lighter or blonde, or, there's less of it, or it grows slower, right? As opposed to electrolysis, it's gone. Now, sometimes you might have to electrolysis it or zap it a couple times, but once it's gone, it's gone. Now, you might ask, Lily, don't you get electrolysis on your face? I have, but that's not where I'm getting electrolysis today. Oh no. Now, you might hear that beeping. That beeping happens every time a follicle is done getting zapped. Where, you might ask? Currently, my shaft. Or I guess the midpoint between my shaft and my scrotum. And I'm sorry to use words like that, but I'm just trying to be anatomical, y'all. Now, so if you at any point hear me go like, ooh, or you know what it is. But one of the reasons that, if you listen to any other podcast episode before this, you probably have at least sussed out that I haven't made a podcast episode in a while. And the last one I did was kind of like maybe a couple months ago. I don't even know. And then the one before that was a couple months. I used to do podcast episodes every single day. There was a time when I did like 5 podcast episodes a week. I would like record a podcast episode and then I would stream. That was the early days. That was before I did restaurants. I was just doing like makeup streams, which was fun. And it was easier to like record an episode at one desk for an hour and then hop over to the other desk and do some makeup for a few hours. That's no problem. But then eventually, once we started doing restaurant streams on TikTok, it became like, okay, well, going to the restaurant, eating there, it's a lot more energy and like time to do that. Plus also getting ready to go to the restaurant. It just kind of became tougher. So I started doing them like once or twice a week or like once a month. And eventually it just kind of got to a point where, I don't know, I just didn't have any time or energy to do it because I also was making TikTok videos, and even that I don't do as much as I'd like because streaming is like the main thing. So anyways, last night I was sitting in my apartment and I said, I've got this hour tomorrow where I'm getting my cake pop bag tweezed and poked for an entire hour. I love speaking to my electrologist. They're listening right now. They're giggling. They're great. We love our electrologists. I'm not even going to gender them because privacy is important. But, I was like, well, if I'm trying to use my time economically, and also what a fun, yeah, there it is. What a fun, oh my God, that's a little tingly. Look, I'm getting my cake pop bag poked with a needle and pumped full of electricity, so you can't blame me, right? I thought, why not just use that hour and make a podcast episode? Because I'm not doing anything else, and certainly is a way to keep busy. Ooh, that was okay. That was good. It's okay. That's fine. We're good. Now, why is she doing this to herself, you might ask? I haven't explained that yet. You might have sussed out. Might have put the pieces together. Lily's a trans woman. And there's something that a lot of trans women, or some trans women at least, like to do downstairs or get done. And that is bottom surgery or a vaginoplasty. And that is why. A vaginoplasty, if you didn't know, is when basically you turn the PP into a V. And I'm going to try and use as little anatomical language as possible here. But you take the cake pop stick and the bag, but most importantly, the stick. And you know how it's kind of like on the outside? It's like a tube that's on the outside of you. Well, they flip it inside out to go on the inside of you. And they make like a space up in there. And they use that tube and they kind of hollow it out to make a V. This is a time-tested method that has been used for, I think, over 100 years. I think the method was pioneered in the early 1900s. You started hearing about it happening successfully like in the early 1900s. And I think there was like the first famous person to get it done. There was a woman in the 50s or 60s who was like, forget her name. She's an important trans woman that's kind of been forgotten by time. Someone, if you're listening to this, message me who I'm thinking of. And then a week from now, I'll get a message, someone being like, this is who you're talking about. And I'm going to be like, what? And then I'll remember. Anyways. Huh? That's her? Christine Jorgensen. Or LB? My electrologist knows. They clearly they've been doing this for a long time. They know more than me. So anyways, it's a very common procedure. There are risks of complications, but I think those are relatively low. And so yeah, the reason that I'm getting hair removal done on this area is because when you think about it, if you're flipping all this stuff inside out, you don't want any hair to be growing there. You want it to be hair free so that when it all flips inside out, ooh, yeah, that one stings. You're good. And you don't have to worry about like hair up there because once it's flipped inside out, it's way harder to remove hair. So that's what I'm doing. Now, another question you might have is, well, how long does it take? Do you just go zap, zap, zap and you're done? Oh no, my friend. I don't know how many follicles one has down there, but think about it. If you ever look down there and just try to count how many hairs, you probably lose track after a while because there's so many. Not to mention, sometimes you need to zap each follicle a couple times. And you got to put the needle in a follicle. You got to wait, like 10, 15 seconds, and then pull it out. Then they tweeze it out with a tweezer, and then they go in for the next one. So it's like many, many, many sessions. This is not my first session. This will not be my last session. It's a work in progress. And really, hair removal is the main time. What's the word I'm looking for? Time barrier? The limiting factor in terms of when I can get the surgery. Like in theory, I could, if I had no hair down there, as long as the surgeon had an opening, I could go in and get it done tomorrow, no problem. But the hair is still there. So the sooner I get it all removed, the closer I am to getting rid of the dastardly cake pop stick. It is dastard. I've had it for 30 years. Sometime it wasn't too long ago, someone asked me, like, I mean, is it really that bad? Like, there's got to be sometimes you feel like, I'm glad I have this, right? And the people who kind of say that they might think, oh, well, she's like, at least she can pee standing up, or, at least she doesn't have to deal with increased UTI infection rate, or, just having a V tends to be more complicated. And I think a lot of people think there's an advantage, right? What about penetrating people? That's fun, right? The answer to all these things is no, it's not. I mean, look, yes, penetrating people can be fun, but, on the best of best days, I would rank having a penis like a 2 out of 10. On the best days, on the days when I am like the most optimistic and happy I possibly can be about this appendage. I do not like looking at it. I do not like having it dangling. I do not like what it does to the outline of my body. I do not like the fashion choices I have limited because of it. It is overall a drain and a drag. And there was a while when I thought, well, it's like, I tried to justify it to myself, like it's such a crazy big surgery, and yes, it takes a year to recover from. Sure, you're up and off your feet in the first couple months, but like in terms of you can't really have sex for the first 6 months, and then you're not really going to be fully healed until like a whole year. Like, is that really worth it? I guess I'm 30, so that's a whole year of my life. And then I thought, well, if I could just snap my fingers and have a vagina and not have any of the surgery in between or any of the pain or recovery time, like, would I do it? I thought, well, of course I would. Of course I would do that. Why would I want a vagina? Duh. I just don't want to have to deal with all the tough stuff in the middle. And that's when I was like, oh, well, life is a lot of tough stuff in the middle. We got to do what we got to do to get the things we want. And this is what I want. It is worth it to me. Woo, yeah. That's a big one. You're good. Every once in a while, you find a nerve and you hit it, and it's like, yeah, okay, right there. It's going. It's zapping. No more hair. Think about the end product. No pain, no gain of a vagina. Anyways, so that's the deal with the bottom surgery and the electrolysis. And I wanted to fill you in on my life because it's been so long. If y'all like this episode, please let me know. We're not done yet, don't worry. But let me know if you like this format. I don't know if you watch it on YouTube, there's not much to see. It's literally just like the most awkward angle. It doesn't matter. So I wanted to fill you in on my life otherwise. And also, please send me questions. If you have questions about electrolysis, or I can tell you about the pain maybe. I think some people ask about the pain. I have other things to fill you in on other than this, but sometimes people are like, well, what does it feel like? I mean, the needle itself doesn't really hurt. I mean, I know people are afraid of needles, but I can't even see it because my electrologist is downright like working on me down there. They've got a like a lamp, like a bright ring light type situation pointed at me with a magnifying glass, and I can't even see that. Ooh, yeah, there it is. This is what I was envisioning this would be. This is exactly what I thought it would be. Just like me talking and then interspersed ouches. Anyways, it feels like an electrical burning underneath your skin, because that's really what it is. It's like using electricity and stuff to burn and like make sure hair doesn't grow anymore, like at the root. So anyways, yeah, it's like a low electrical burning, like right there. Okay, I want to tell you about something else. Now, I'm not gonna, is it okay if I call you by a fake name? Because I'm not gonna say your name. Like, what fake name do you like? Maybe like, how about, Angie? Are you cool with me talking about some things that I did this past weekend that are a little bit on the saucy side? Yeah? You like the details? Okay. Angie is going to hear the details. So I'm perfect. Okay. So I'm going to give you a content warning now about this. If you are someone who is easily offended by sexual scenarios, and I'm not going to, I can't tell you how explicit this is going to be. I don't know how deep I'm going to go, but all I can say is that it's going to get way like NC-17 rated in terms of descriptions. Okay. So, okay. You have been warned. Angie has been warned. Angie's ready. Maybe excited. Okay. So actually, funny enough, this was the evening of when I was here last, which was Saturday. So this story, it is worth noting that I started this adventure at, what was it, like 2:30 p.m. when I numbed my genitals, because my genitals are numb right now as they were last Saturday. I use a numbing cream, and then when I get here, a little bit more is applied, and I'm like totally numb. Well, I'm not numb enough because I can still feel things, obviously, but way more numb than I would be. It kind of takes the pain from like a 10 to a 6 or a 7. Maybe a little bit lower. Anyways, so my genitals were kind of numb going into the evening. And I walked home from electrolysis and I was just so beat. Ooh, there's a good one. We're good. I walked home from electrolysis just so beat and tired because I'd gotten almost no sleep the night before. And, I kind of plopped down on my couch and I said, I had a thing to go to tonight. I had seen on the internet a post for a pre-party to a dungeon party. So like come to an apartment across the street from the dungeon party with, there's a trans woman who's hosting it and a couple people will be there. And then we'll go to the main dungeon party and have fun. I was like, oh, that sounds fun. I've been to this dungeon before once and had fun. I would like to make more friends, and I am also interested in a dungeon spicy party. So why not? I was so tired. And then I texted my dear friend Oliver. Oliver, I don't know if you're listening to this, but Oliver, I said, should I go to this? I don't know. And I think I needed from Oliver, which he provided, was a kick in the boots to go. I was like, should I go? I'm so tired. And he was like, do it. And I said, you're right. So I did. So I got dressed, a very spicy outfit. I was wearing black fishnets, underwear, a very short mini skirt, closer to a belt than a skirt if we're being honest, a pretty skimpy tank top, and a sheer long sleeve black, shirt is generous. You could see through it for sure. I had my hair down. I was not wearing any makeup because... you're going to get it. You're going to do stuff at these places. Wearing makeup is honestly, unless you're trying to go for that's a spicy one. Unless you're going for the, ruined makeup look, which is a look, then, decided against it. So here, let me switch hands with my microphone really quick. Switch hands. There we go. If you're listening to this and not watching it, I'm literally holding my phone up. and I have a microphone in the other hand. Okay. So I'm wearing spicy clothes. And I scooter. I'm wearing these like checkered pants, pajama pants over my skirt so that I can like scooter through the streets of San Francisco without, showing my booty to everybody. Although I have no issue with that, but it was like a Saturday night. I didn't need to do that. I don't know why the night matters, but anyways. I also was carrying a very large bag with me in which I had a mini vibrator, a medium vibrator, and a vibrating girl dick ring. And yes, I called a girl dick, not a dick. Along with, wallet, keys, whatever. I go to the apartment. I walk up the stairs and I walk inside. I am greeted by a topless, gorgeous trans woman who will not be named, as will nobody else in this story. If I give names, it'll be fake names. But, oh my God, she was gorgeous. And just boobies out. I was like, hey, what's up? Hi. It was her, and there were two other gentlemen in the room. There was no sex happening. It was like very much just like a chill hangout, except that one person happened to be half naked. It was cool. There was like, Trader Joe's popcorn and hummus and chips and stuff. I sit down, and, she's a little bit quiet, or I guess just being hostess or whatever. And there were two other men sitting there. Ooh! You're good. The first one was wearing a giraffe onesie and coloring in a book. The other one was wearing a suit, kind of had like a businessman off from work type vibe. He had the black suit, black tie, but the tie was like loose around the neck, kind of like, I'm on my off hours, but I'm still wearing my work clothes kind of thing. And I sit down next to the giraffe suit guy. He's like, hey, what's your... and he had like a Hungarian accent. I learned later. Hello, what is your favorite color? And I said, red. And he said, okay, great. And then he's like, do you want to see my art? I'm like, oh, art? Sure, fine. He hands me a book. And at this point, I'm realizing that this man smells very strongly of either pipe tobacco or cigars, and that his teeth are very brown. And I open the book, and there's a, I guess, art. Not particularly good art, in my opinion. I know, I the beholder, but it just kind of seemed like a doodle book. And he, said, if you want to buy any of these, let me know. And I was like, oh, okay, I will. Thanks. And he just started doodling. And then the guy across from me, I don't even remember. Oh, no, I do remember his name. But, he's kind of like chatting away with the hostess. And look, it was maybe 6:30 and the party started at 8. So I had an hour and a half to burn before the party, the actual spiciness started across the street. That's where the main thing was, the dungeon. She just happened to live across the street from it. So I had to talk to someone. I couldn't just sit there awkwardly for an hour and a half. So I just start asking questions. And wouldn't you know that the guy with the loose tie was really into talking about supply chain mostly. I listened to this man tell me about supply chain, engineering. I mean, it was kind of like listening to Joe Rogan for an hour and a half against my will. I did not want to listen to him, but I had no choice because he just went on and on and on. His way of talking was not one that gives anyone a moment to interject or like offer thoughts. He was a monologue machine. So I really just sat and listened with, cool. And then maybe get a few words in, and then he'd, launch on another tirade about how the world was only 2 weeks away from running out of food at any given moment, or, things like that. Like, maybe it's true, but okay, whatever. Anyways, over the course of this hour and a half, two more people arrive. One of them was a very cute femme-presenting person who read to me as cisgender. They did not look trans. She was had like wing eyeliner. She was very cute, kind of like seemed a little bit shy, but nice. And, we kind of exchanged a few words here and there over the course of the hour and a half. For some reason, she and the other person that arrived started doodling with the giraffe suit guy, which more power to them, I guess. And then 8 o'clock finally rolls around and the dungeon party has begun. And I look over to the hostess and I say, hey, so ready to head over? And she's like, yeah, eventually. And I don't know, I'm not rushed for time. And then I look at her and I say, well, it is 8 p.m. So usually I'd be getting ready for bed about now. Now that the party has begun, like I'm running out of energy by the minute. I'm going to go. And you could join whenever. She says, great. Now, the other cute girl in the room, because she is a key player in this story, we will call her, how about Jessica? I like that name. Jessica. Jessica, the cute girl with the eyeliner who was a femme presenting person. I look at her and I could tell she also wants to go. I think she's probably sick of the guy who she's drawing with and wants to skedaddle. I said to her, did you have your COVID test? Which I'll explain in a second. She said, no, I don't. And I said, I got you. And she's like, okay, cool. She's like, do you want to come with me now? And she's like, yeah, sure. Sounds good. So she and I go from this apartment party across the street into the dungeon. Now, as you can imagine, a spicy dungeon party or and this is specifically a queer play party in a dungeon. There's a lot of touching possibly and skin-to-skin contact, as you can imagine. And in today's world, a COVID test is necessary before these things are done. So the way that it works is you show up, you pay for a ticket if you hadn't gotten one ahead of time. And here, one sec. I guess, did you apply extra numbing stuff, Angie? Okay. I'm just totally numb now, I figured. As long as it's still working, it's all good. We ran into this last time, too, and it was still working. Okay. We enter the dungeon party. And the way it works is you have to sit down as soon as you check in and take a COVID test, like right then and there, and then wait 15 minutes in the lobby, present them the negative result, and then you can enter the test, the dungeon. Now, in the waiting room, plenty of people are there that are eventually going to be playing. So you can kind of start to socialize a little bit while you're there. So I sit down in a chair and do the COVID test thing with Jessica by my side, as well as a couple of others. Notable people. There's a couple across sitting in a couch. One femme, one mask, and both cis. This lady is giving me eyes, and I'm like, hello. But it didn't quite work out with her. I think she was maybe looking for something else. She was more looking for people to hit her a lot and then maybe have sex with her. I'm not really into impact play. That's what that's called as much. So, we kind of was like, okay, talking to her, and everyone's adding each other on FetLife, which is the social media for people who are into kinky things. There's not even an app. It's just a website. It's called FetLife if you've never been on. And so there's also a guy, and I say guy, like cisgender guy with an asterisk, and he even later confirmed this. Like, he was wearing a sheer lacy top and, like, I think kind of like a skirt, but he was hairy and had a big, relatively well-kept beard and, masculine in presentation otherwise. Anyways, his name was, I don't know, we'll call him Brad. And Brad talks about him, tells us about what he likes, the kind of things. We're all kind of just like trying to get a feel for what we want to do that night, right? There's a thing that I've learned about in the kink scene called negotiation, where you don't just like walk up and touch someone. Obviously, you have to have a conversation with them, and it's not just like a, hey, do you want to do this? Sure, great, okay. It's like you talk about every little thing just so that there's no surprises, so that everything is agreed upon and consented to before any kind of touching starts. So we learned that Cal, I think it's probably okay, it wasn't his real name, Brad, is into impact play. So he likes to, he brought a hairbrush that could be used, like the back side of it, to paddle someone. That's a spicy one. And was, just into being dominant, like being called sir, we learned. And, we were going around, and Jessica as well was talking about what she liked. She liked being submissive, being restrained and all sorts of things. And eventually me, Brad, and Jessica kind of all look at each other like, are we trying to do something tonight, the three of us? And we all kind of just like have this moment where it's like, all right, this is happening. This threesome is happening. So the three of us all get our negative COVID tests, and we walk to a more secluded area to begin our negotiation, right? Like we agreed that we want to do something. We're just not sure what it is yet. All right, switching hands. My hands get sore. We agree we want to do something. We're just not sure what it is yet. So we go to our little negotiation spot, with a little bit more privacy. Learn that I learned, in fact, that Jessica is trans, which is crazy because you would never know. We call that passing. The trans lingo is passing. Like I don't pass mostly because of my voice. But Jessica had it all. Like she is incredible. She had like these boobies that were perfect. Like she really hit the boob lottery. No implants, no nothing. Just like great voice. She was gorgeous. No shadow whatsoever. It was great. Anyway, so she revealed, that she had the same parts that I do. Oh, that's a big one. No, you're good. Brad, on the other hand, was cis guy. So we all three had the same parts, more or less. We talked about what we liked. I, of course, am more of a dominant person in the bedroom. Like soft top is kind of what you might call it, where, I'm definitely in charge, but like very... Oh, the male. Okay. Whew. I was about to say. I'm all on display here. So the male person just like slipped mail through the door, and I was like, oh no, I am like on full spread eagle out here. Yeah. And I'm trying to think if there's any other relevant things. Yeah. So I'm not really into masculine people. That's the thing. So you might be saying, but Lily, you're not into guys. I'm really not. But the thing that we established with Brad is that he and I would not kiss. He was allowed to touch me in certain ways as long as he asked beforehand. But he and I would more be like working together on Jessica as opposed to like, all like more of like tag team, I guess you could say. We agreed that there would be no actual penetrative sex, but oral sex was okay. And yeah, I mean, there was more ish to it, but we, probably 20 minutes or so of negotiating. And then we said, all right, I think we're good here. Let's go and find somewhere. So in this dungeon, there's like a main dungeon space that has a bunch of places that, people like stations, right? There's and by the time we were done negotiating, the floor was already popping. There was like someone doing, getting tied up by a person. There was someone like hands up on a looks like my electrologist is getting a call. Is the next person here already?
No.
Oh, okay. An alarm? Oh, okay. Cool. There's people doing needle play, so like doing like putting not like the clean sterile needles like under their skin and like out. It's kind of like, if you really want, you Google pictures of it, but it's not for the faint-hearted. People getting like whipped and flogged and punched and kicked in a sexy way, all consensual. So it was like very interesting to see. And we went up to this little loft that had a very gross bed that had a sheets on it and these large brown, like kind of vinyl thin pillows, which, I mean, better than nothing, but not that much better. And we all sat down. The last thing I will say is that I agreed that I would go down on the guy because I was interested. I don't know. I just was like, I'm into that tonight, even though not into men. Usually it was like, it seemed like something I wanted to do. So I said I would. And yeah, we all kind of sat on the bed and took our shoes off and then went to it. Now, mind you, this is a bed that anyone and everyone can see if they so choose. This is not like a secluded thing. It's very much in view of the entire dungeon. So it's not like I didn't catch anyone really watching us, because I think people were probably more interested in the kink stuff, like the more BDSM stuff happening on the floor, and we were just the people having sex, but I don't know. Anyways, so we just kind of like start slow, and then eventually, it doesn't take that long, but Brad and I are, holding Jessica down, and of course it was all consensual. She was very much enjoying herself before, after, and during. And Brad was taking the this hairbrush that he bought and spanking her a lot, and she seemed to be enjoying it. I was mostly holding her down and like holding her arms and wrists so that she couldn't move, and almost kind of like straddling? No. It's like in wrestling where you kind of like have your legs around someone so that they can't really move. I don't know. Tell me what the word is. I think it's straddling. It's something like that. Anyways, it was fun. And so me and Jessica were kissing, but like neither Jessica nor I were really interested in kissing Brad. Although at a certain point I did think like, all right, give me a kiss, Brad. Let's see how this feels. Even with a beard, it was like, it was fine, but I was like more neutral on it. I didn't really enjoy it, so I don't think I'd do it again. But yeah, so it was very nice. It was very sensual and intimate, and it was nice that we had probably been talking for like 45 minutes total before we did this, so that it wasn't just like total strangers. I mean, to a certain extent. We also, of course, exchanged STI testing info, and everything was above board. Yeah, I also went down on Brad, which was not the first time I've done that, but also, it was, I guess I just wanted to do it and see how it felt. It was fine. I would much rather have been on a fellow trans woman than like a cis asterisk man. But I still it was like a little bit of enjoyment as opposed to a lot. And he did finish in my mouth, which was kind of like my electrologist is nodding and smiling at me like, yeah, girl, get it. I'm not going to lie. It didn't taste very good. Because normally when you're doing this with trans femmes, nothing comes out to begin with, because either they're on T blockers or whatever. But, I felt proud of myself. Like I did it. Like I accomplished something. I never done that before. Never gotten a man to finish like that before. I've been with very few men anyways. So, I think I'm like 1 for 2. The other guy was just weird. He was gross on off Grindr. I didn't like that. Yeah. So anyways, that happened. I also, Jessica did not finish, but we had also talked ahead of time. Like that doesn't always happen for her. I tend to do it on myself with a vibrator. I had brought in 2. The first one had died, the mini, and then the medium one, when I was like halfway there, like they were both kind of like, we were all cuddled up. They were both like kissing and caressing me on my body and stuff. And the vibrator died like halfway through. It was so sad. But then I managed to do it by hand and get myself there. And then we kind of just like cuddled and hung out for a little bit longer and put clothes back on and entered back into the dungeon. I will say that the music for the whole time was kind of funny, because at first, the music at first was like dungeon music. Not like medieval dungeon, but like kind of what you would imagine music in a sex club would be, like kind of 9 Inch Nails, sex music kind of stuff. But then for some reason they decided to put it on a playlist that consisted of like 4 songs over and over again. I kid you not. It was like Blue Dabba Dee Dabba Die. No joke. That song. I'm a gummy bear. I'm not joking. In a dungeon, I'm a gummy bear. Yes, I'm a gummy bear. That song. And a few others, just like random like 2010s party music. It was so stupid. But we had fun. And we put our clothes on and think Jessica and Brad stayed for longer, but by that point it was 11, a little after 11 for me. And I was tired. I was like, I don't need anything else. I don't want to do anything else tonight. I'm going home. So I did. I scootered home, this time without the checkered pants over. So I did show my tush to San Francisco, but it was past 11. So, you know, if you're past 11, you see a tush in San Francisco, like, come on, what were you expecting? Yeah, anyways, so that was my evening in the dungeon. I'm trying to think if there's anything I missed to tell you about. I don't think so. I'm now more active on FetLife, which is cool. And no, I will not tell you my username. It is not the same as my normal usernames. If those of you who are on FetLife are like, let me follow Lily. No. That's staying private. I'm sorry. But you know, I'm gonna keep a little bit more of an eye on there. I'm not sure if I'm really a super particularly kinky person. Like all the stuff that was happening down on the floor, I'm not interested in. I don't really like much impact play of like hitting or paddling or whatever, and certainly not any maybe rope suspension, that kind of thing. But ultimately, I don't know. I like doing sexy things in public. That's fun for me. So I guess that's a kink in and of itself, but I don't know. Anyways, sorry for those of you who listen to this, but maybe are more into like the podcast where I rank candy bars and stuff like that. You know, look, I'm a complex person. What can I say? I like candy bars and I like dungeon sex. I like it all. I'm sorry. Or you're welcome. Whichever person you are. Or maybe this is just a medium episode for you and you're like, yeah, okay, I can dig this. I don't know. Tell me what you want. Write a Google review. Write an Apple Podcast review. Write a YouTube comment. I don't know. Do what you got to do. Okay. Yeah, that's probably like the most prescient thing. I will give you a couple other relationship updates because we still do have a little bit of time. Probably like 10 more minutes, right, Angie? Something like that. Yeah, so Katie, my now ex-girlfriend, and I broke up. That breakup happened on Thanksgiving weekend. We were supposed to go on a big weekend trip, but we didn't. And I know we were supposed to spend Thanksgiving together. Angie's looking at me like I haven't told her this. I thought I did. Guess not. We were supposed to go on a weekend trip. We didn't. We were supposed to spend Thanksgiving together. We didn't. We broke up like right on the cusp of it, and it was too late to make any other plans. It was such a shame. Yeah, it was really a bummer. Still is. I actually was like, not to be too vulnerable here, but I still struggle like every day with it, and I try not to be too down in the dumps, especially when it comes to streaming. But like, I was sobbing last night. It was not fun. It's very lonely because it was like my first heartbreak, and the way that it happened too was, you know, she told me she was moving, and I said, well, is there anything I can do to make you stay? And she said, well, why don't you like maybe have all my friends move, because she's moved. Ooh, that's a spicy one. Yep. She said something to the effect of like, well, all my friends live in the place I'm going, so like, unless you can make them move to San Francisco. And I was like, and that was kind of the moment where I realized like, oh, I'm definitely more into her than she is into me. And I confirmed that later with her. Like, it was true. She's less into me than I am into her. Not that she didn't like me at all, but I was like falling in love, and she was just like having a good casual time. Which is a shame, but I can't fault her, but it is a pretty big bummer and heartbreak for me. And it is more or less my first real heartbreak of the time I was actually more into someone. Even though I'm 30, it hadn't really happened before like this. So it's a real bummer. But I've been like kind of pushing on the relation date front more since then, just because, you know, some rebound, I guess, loneliness, whatever you want to call it. I have had a date this past, what's today? Today is Monday. This would have been on Saturday morning. The morning of the electrolysis. It was electrolysis, or it was the date, then electrolysis, then dungeon. And oh, by the way, the genitals being numb to full circle actually ended up being fine. They weren't numb by the time We were having the threesome. I know. I set it up like it might have been a problem. It wasn't. But that morning I went on a date with someone who has let me know that I can say her name. Her name is Emily. She's the cute candy shop girl. We went on some dates in May, and things didn't quite work out because she has a fiance who is like maybe not super into polyamory, or that she's doing it, but apparently things are cooler now. So fingers crossed. I think she's really cool and cute and fun to be around. Definitely my type. Which, you know, she's very busy. She's a student. He's 25, I think. So a few years younger than me, but like not. I would say that like I wouldn't date anyone any younger than that. You know, someone who's like still in college or fresh out of college is too young. I feel like once you hit 24, 25, that's when you start getting into the groove post-college. Like it's a little bit, you enter that stage of life, and that's most important. Anyways, so she and I went on a date on Saturday morning. We went to a Thai restaurant, and that was very nice. Had fun. And then tomorrow, I have a date with Evie, who's also, that's her real name, spelled like the Pokemon, Eevee. She's a cutie. She's a trans woman also. I met her through Rosemary, who is someone I go on sexy dates with sometimes, because Evie and Rosemary are dating. And Rosemary's like, you got to go on a date with Lily. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And both Evie and Rosemary also are married to other people. So it's like a whole polyamory circle, like polycule, sort of, not really. So Evie and I have a date, and our dates tend to be very spicy. At least the one, what can I say? We've only been on one date, but if it's anything to go by, it's going to be spicy, and that's always fun. Yeah, and that's kind of it. I was supposed to have a date last Friday with someone else entirely, but they messaged me that they were sick. So I don't know. I feel like I should wait for them to come back to me instead of being like, hey, you feeling better? Because it would have been our first date. So like maybe that was them saying they didn't want to go on a date. I don't know. I'm not going to hold my breath for them. But yeah, I mean, I guess, you know, still within the frame of polyamory, I would like to find one or more people that, you know, I can be committed with. I'm not necessarily looking for casual things. I mean, it's fine, but that's not really the goal, because I think what I had with Katie was really nice. You know, she and I were like hanging out multiple times a week. At least I was really into her. We relied on each other, confided in each other, and we're on the same page. So I'd like to find that again. I don't know how long it will take to find something like that, but hopefully not. Oh, that's a good one. It's okay. You don't have to apologize. You're doing the right thing. That's what I want. Get the hair out of there. Yeah, that's a real spicy one. You would think everyone would be this spicy, but it's really not. Just depends. The frenulum. Oh, yeah. Yeah, more painful there. Makes sense. Anyways. So that's the dating update. I don't know if there's anything else to really tell you about in that realm. Not really. No. Talking about the dungeon. I mean, that's really kind of the Lily life update. I don't really have too much else going on. Nugget's doing well. Nugget's actually here right now. I'm looking at him right now. He's off to the side watching me get electrolysis. You good, buddy? You good? I know Angie really wanted to meet Nugget, so I brought him in today. And also, Nugget and I are going for a dinner stream tonight. Chances are, I think it would be impossible for you to be watching this before the stream tonight. So if you were someone who watched the Catonia stream, that's where we're going, if all goes to plan. Actually, I don't even know if I say the names of the restaurant at all. Monday night, Monday, December 11th, there is a Italian food stream on TikTok. So if you tuned into that, technically this is the prequel to that stream. So if anything crazy happens on that stream, like, you know, maybe, God forbid, some transphobia stuff happens, or You know, I don't know, some significant big thing. Maybe we do another tip contest for some reason. I don't know about any of it yet. That's all in the future for me. One other thing I need to do before I go is, that's another spicy one, go to the Apple store because my Apple Watch is on like 10%. And the watch is very important for the stream. So I'm going to like walk there, charge my watch for like hopefully 10, 15 minutes. That'll be enough. And then we'll go do the stream. That's the goal. Yeah. Okay. I think we're probably about there. Yeah. Okay. The one thing I will say is maybe my favorite thing about Electrolysis, other than hanging out with Angie, who's a sweetheart, is the candy afterwards. I look forward to it anytime I come. Now, if you think about it, it's kind of a... yeah. No, you're good. There's a little candy dish on the way out. It's got usually like these like 2-bite brownies, if you know what those are, like the little brownie cylinder things. Sometimes there's Madeleines, the little shell-looking cookies. Reese's, Snickers, Ghirardelli squares. Angie does not skimp. And I always apologize, but I never stop doing. I usually take like 3, sometimes 4 pieces of candy. And she always tells me it's okay. And I always apologize, but I always take that much because, and I'll tell you what, there's an elevator where we are that I need to get, you know, you walk down the hallway, there's an elevator, and then leave the building that we're in. The candy is always, like, no matter, like, what, if it's cookies, if it's, doesn't matter. It's always gone before, like, once the elevator ride is done, it's all gone. I'm just shoving it in my face. Because after all of this physical trauma of being poked with an electric needle for an hour, you need something. You can't just like walk out and not treat yourself immediately. So I can't tell you what candy I'm going to get because I don't know what it is today. I think I saw a Ghirardelli square in there today, but it always changes. Angie's always going to get to you go to, always going to Costco to get new batches of candy. And, you know, I like to surprise myself. Maybe today I will do a Madeleine. Maybe I will do a Snickers. Maybe there is a Reese's. I hope there's a Reese's because that's my favorite. Anyways, I'm sure I will find one for me. Well, everyone, thank you for listening. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, please do me a favor and write even like 5 words of a review. Helps get the podcast around. Because one of the reasons I haven't been doing it so much is because, honestly, it doesn't pay the bills like a lot of other things do. So if I could do this more often, that would be great. Also, feel free in that review to, and the same goes for YouTube comments. If you're watching on YouTube, suggest maybe a fun punny name for this. Because my trans best friend is good, but like, you know, it could be anything. Electrolysis, something like that. Please leave a review. Also, shout out to the Lilies Lovelies on Patreon and TikTok subscriptions who make this possible. The Lilies Lovelies are the people who subscribe to me every month. They're part of the Discord, and you can subscribe, patreon.com/LilyTino. Or, I just dropped my phone, or via TikTok. If you watch any of my TikTok streams, there's a $10 a month subscription there, and it starts at $5 a month on Patreon because I get almost 100% of TikTok, or I get like 90+% on Patreon and 50% on TikTok, which is crazy. That's why it's twice the price. Nugget, do you have anything to say before we go? He said, why have we been here for an hour? I think we're done. Electrolysis has been done. Oh, she's going to do some rubbing alcohol. Yeah, just to kind of make sure it's all good. Hopefully my hair is okay after this. I'm going to, cool it down a little bit. When we did it on my face, there was like this roller that she used, but cataphoresis, but not today. Not for the bottom parts. Ah, yes, cooling. Feels good. All right, everyone. Until next time, stay lovely.